calling you a radical. So this is important. I don't think people get this, how historic this is. Now, remember, I was given 2 months to live in 2011 with AML leukemia. I've dealt with so much leukemia that it'd blow your mind. So my father died from it in Nevada, you elaborated the Nevada test site. No cancer in that family, none. He has many brothers and sisters, many of them still have well into their 90s. No cancer, none, 0.0. He was the healthiest one of them all. My grandmother said he never had a cold in his life. Drafted Marine, limited. Which came first, the nuclear energy, chicken or egg? So Exelon, who is Kevin Blanchard's arch enemy, and I don't wish ill on anyone. I don't. So back-to-back CEOs. John Rowe, he was the CEO when Fukushima happened. And sudden illness. Okay, all right. Sudden illness, just died. 77 years old. Billionaire. So Axelrod and Rahm Emanuel, they're all excellent. Obama propped up. What a perfect storm, right? Most people didn't know that Obama, like I said, one of the commenters said, when I found out that he was addicted to smoking cigarettes and they'd covered that up, I knew we'd been had. Got to talk to Henry before we go to Fukushima. Hillary. Propped up by the nuclear industry. I didn't know because I thought he was a peace activist. It was all in the war, the military industrialized complex, the unholy alliance between the nuclear energy. Somebody says, do a video on enriched uranium, turning uranium-238 and 235, which I will today. I'll do that. So he was forced out in 2012. Just another Fukushima coincidence? I don't think so. So probably the most pro-nuclear, powerful human being on the planet took over. Chris Crane. Chris Crane's the same age as me. Well, he's 1 year older. Dead. 65 years old. Sudden illness. Now, I don't know what they did. They said pneumonia, which we know. I spent all those years in a bone marrow transplant center. Just the fact that I go in at 11-11-11. We know how that plays out. You get pneumonia, your lungs are the biggest tissue. Now, is that they won't say what the illness was on either one of them because they can't. Now, I'm not saying what it is, and I surely would not wish this on anyone, especially those two. Did they do all this? No. John Rowe came out after he was forced out and said, we need to shut down all the nuclear energy reactors that we own, and they're the biggest player in the industry. And then, of course, they're all shutting down. Kevin Blanchard, friends, San Onofre down. We just kicking them down, all of them. There's my San Onofre steam generator book right there. You should get it out. But let's get some... Talk about the... IA had their symposium in Belgium. What? Talk about pink elephants. The pink elephants in the room is the C word. But you can't say the C word. Now, was that what they took them both? I don't know. I have my ideas. And like I said, I don't do opinion. I don't eat, sleep, drink this. I literally sleep with it. So, Kevin Blanch, the marine biologist in the high desert of Utah, shed some light on this. It's important. It's historic. So, all the nuclear reactors were going down. So, she's from Ukraine. That was my activism partner, Annika. She died of leukemia, 1999, young, really young. But she actually died in early 2000. She got it in 99. This is when this whole madness really started. That was, I don't think people know the significance of these two guys. So, John, Excellence is no. We got to pivot away from it. It's economic catastrophe. He's forced out. So Chris Crane, who's Palo Verde in the desert, and I'll do a video about this today. We got to get it. And it doesn't matter because nobody's doing anything about this. Oh, really? You kettle me, I'll kettle you. You label me, I'll label you. Rip me open, pour me out. There's things inside that scream and shout. Oh, I have the right. Give it 2 months to live in a bone marrow transplant center, off and off, well, mostly on for 6 years. No pigment in my eyes, blisters on my tongue, freaking weighed down to 119 pounds, going in and out of a coma when I was perfectly healthy. Kicked off Medicaid after I forked over 30,000 shares of Tesla stock in 2011. Do the math. How about all that Apple stock I kept telling you to buy? And you guys would argue and fight. Well, you, not my army. So they both died of sudden illnesses. Huh. Okay. People just don't die of sudden illnesses. I'm sorry, but they don't. That's not how. The sudden illness is a certain type of illness. That's not a cause of death, sudden illness. So, Junos, we kick this down. This is the goods. I got it. This is the book. This is when they were cheating on the reactor and on the guy that exposed. I have the shirts. I have all this. This is when they got caught cheating on this very exchange. Well, this one started 29. I'm all over it. There it is. 2011. So, historic book. These guys can't talk. They're afraid for their lives. So I was in the bone marrow transplant center dying when this was all happening. Excuse me. Me and Robin Hood doing all this work. So, what a thing to take on. Well, I had to. I watched my father die from it in the prime of his life. I watched Annika die from the prime of his life. And then the doctor looks at me in my eyes and tells me that I have 2 months to live. What do you do at that point? Well, the same thing I've always done. Fight back. I got to dig this out. So, what's your choices? What was I supposed to do? Just lay down? Just say, okay, bye. See, my life's in the prime of my life. I have young grandchildren that I adore. I have a life that I actually like. They've tried to strip away from me. This is the USS Reagan. This thing's worth it. I need money. I need a lot of money. And I'm tired of this poverty, whatever. It should be in a museum. This thing is so historic. This is one of the big wigs on the USS Reagan in Japan. Just the patches alone on this are worth many, many, many thousands of dollars. It's an historical document. Died of leukemia. So, in San Diego. Remember the trial, all that work I did there? So Exelon, they're shutting them all down. San Onofre, Kevin Blanch and friends kicked that domino down. They all started to fall after that. That was historic. I had the goods on them. They knew they were cheating. They were cheating on that exchange. So the generator was time to be replaced. And they were saving hundreds of millions of dollars by cheating. They're bringing it in by water. Those guys bringing it in Marines. So it's on. I don't think people know the San Onofre nuclear reactor is on the Marine base. My father, the Hollywood Marine, I have so many connections there. Those guys that all work there, ex-Marines, and they're Semper Fi, and they know I am. They know my dad's story, whatever. I've been dealing with that monster. They hate that thing. And by the way, there's your little SMR nuclear reactor right there. Maybe I'll send that into the NRC and see if I can get a license. Well, I'll just go to Congress. To hell with the NRC. I'll be like Bill Gates, go to Congress. Or go to the state of Utah, New Scale, and see if they'll give me a few $100 million. Then I'll take it public. and sell all my stock. Why not? That's what they did. They don't have shit because there's no such thing. So they're cheating on the exchange. They're using a Mitsubishi versus a Hitachi, vice versa. And they're using a cheaper one. They're jerry rigging, like they do the districts, to make it work. It's not working. So you can make this up. You cannot make this up. They're celebrating Earth Day today up here. So the nuclear industry, well, we get Earth Day one day. It's a leap year. So the other 364 is poison the Earth Day. So they're cheating on the exchange. What are they doing with the money they're saving? The California Public Commission, PV told me to go fuck myself in public. At least in Ohio, they went after the guy. He committed suicide. We know what took him out. Larry Householder, the lead politician who took all the bribes in Ohio, he's doing 23 years in federal prison. Well, what about in California? Kamala Harris, the AG, or mother of the epidemiologist at Livermore, California, bringing star power to Earth. Well, let me tell you, North Korea just fired up a super collider reactor that said running 100 million degrees for 48 seconds. What do you think those three suns in the ocean? When they can cover up 3 full meltdowns, and they can convince you that 3 full bulk core meltdowns and 10 spent fuel pools is less than 1 at Chernobyl. You think mission, I got news, 2 plus 2 is still 2. 3 at Fukushima is more than 1 at Chernobyl. All spent for, but the Orwellian sheep go long. So they're cheating on the exchange. They're chopping up the money. And also, Kamala Harris raided the PV's house with the California Highway Patrol. She went after him, and then whose name was showing up? Moonbeamer Brown was in on it. Everybody was in on it. And so it looked like they're going to go to jail. They're going to go to prison. They had no intention to shut down. I'm in the bone marrow transplant center, and these guys leaked it all to me. Look at this. Mitch at Channel 10 in LA, he did great work. Went down there. Kathy Iwani, who was trapped in Japan. Rachel Godoy was trapped. Were coming to me because I was the only one getting any information, real information, to people in Japan. She was, San Clemente, she was on the school board. She's a teacher, and so, they get a vote on Senator Free. She lobbied to not reopen, but they had no intention to shut down. No intention. They didn't care. They got caught. So I'm going in and out of a coma. My worst days in the bone marrow transplant center. January 2012. January 30th, 31st were my worst days by far. I completely went out. I mean, I can't believe I didn't die. Well, even the nurses, everybody could believe I didn't. That's when I got the emails. I used to get thousands of emails a day until the State Secrets acted, and then they classified Kevin Lunch. They classified everything. I come out of it. I got those emails. I'm like, oh my God. They call it a steam malfunction. So what happened? They're cheating on the exchange and trying to jerry rig it, and the core's active. It's going. They got it fired up. It's all good. Blah blah blah. It's had a steam malfunction because it was jerry rigged, and it started to back up the pressure inside. They have a valve, but if you turn that valve, it's leaking. They're duct taping it. They're trying everything, and there's people inside leaking out footage. To me, to Mitch, Channel 10, and I'm in the bone marrow transplant at LDS. You think that's compelling? So I'm putting it out. They're like, Kevin, you got to put this out. They'll go after us. Yeah, I'll put it out. And I did. Out of a bone marrow transplant with a central line hanging out of my jugular vein. How compelling, you think? I'm a death's doorstep, then some, from AML leukemia. The type I have is de novo. That's a 1% survival bracelet. I'm a 1%er. Without a transplant because I was too sick. So I was asked yesterday again, well, how did you possibly survive this? What's your, I says, I walked the whole coast of California. Dying. All the doctors said you'll die out there. My platelets down nothing because I was too sick for transplant. I said, what a good place to die. I'll drip into the sea. Robin Jeffers. Ooh, what's that smell? It's a dead wall in Carmel. I didn't die. I just kept going. No money. Most of the time, no camera. Just me and the animals. So they're starving and fighting for their lives. You know, try that one. Not the Pacific Trail, the California coast. You'd think that's a major media story. Not with Kevin Blanch. I could put up the Zabuta tape, the real one. If K blown away, what else do I have to say? Freaking, and I would get, 146 views. You kettle me, that was their answer. Used to Google all this subject matter, San Onofre. You see, I remember talking to Donna Young, and Donna Gilmore down there, and I says, Kev, we watch every video you do, blah, blah, blah. Thank you. Got us up to speed. I've been fighting San Onofre since I was a child. They knew we had the goods on them. So on D-Day, on D-Day, it comes out. I'm the guy that announced it to the world. I got an email early in the morning before anybody knew. They're shutting down. I remember standing with Kathy at San Clemente when I got that first San Onofre shirt, that famous shirt. I still have it. I'll break it out. Gene Stone thrown in, who's passed away since. Gary Hedrick, who's done all that good work. Ace Hoffman's done all the work. Miley Reason's done all that work. I mean, I go way, way back with these people. My father. We're out there. We sneak in, Joni Ray and I, and to the reactor, and they have the fake union workers there. They're not even in the union. They bust 7 loads of them into San Clemente. The Highway Patrol puts me in a little room when I'm due to speak. I'm always the keynote speaker. They're not going to let me speak. What? Such a fraud, such a setup. I told Kathy outside, I'm sucked up. I'm fresh out of the bone marrow. There's nothing left of me. I mean, I'm dying. I weighed 120 pounds. There's a photograph with her and I together, and she says, I says, they're done. San Onofre will never. What are you talking about? Everybody knows they're going to reopen. These guys are monsters. They don't care. I said, some vibe just came over me. I'm standing there in the parking lot at the church. I told even the preacher at that church, that mega church that it was in, I could just sense it. I could feel it. And he says, what do you mean? I says, I'm so full of cancer. I can feel this energy from the ocean, from everything. It's an incredible vibe came over me. I says, they're done. The nuclear siege over. I knew it right then. Everybody's arguing. No. Sure shit, I was right. They come out, we're done. Let's decommission process, stand on the state line, bring, Nevada, Utah, the hot generator, coming into Utah. Oh, Santa Susana, don't you cry for me. I came to Utah with a load from San Onofre. So the decommission process, I bit my fingernails the whole time on decommissioning, getting those cannons, because I knew if we got an earthquake, why that process was going on, it was so vulnerable, they were going to blame us as the activists. And, the fake canister rouge, the whole thing, that was a setup. I knew it was a setup. I'm the keynote speaker in every single hearing going on. They're so afraid of me, it's unbelievable, because they know I have the goods on. They were afraid of jail. So, looks like Kamala Harris is going to put them in jail. She decides to run for the Senate. I don't know what talk they get, but they get a talk. Don't bring it up no more. She's the VP of the United States. She was a vicious anti-nuclear who went after him. Her mother died of cancer in 2009. She worked at Livermore. She was the epidemiologist at Livermore. Yeah. And if you don't know what Livermore is, I remember Lawrence's grandson used to speak in these hearings. Oh my God, he would just rip his own grandpa, just go crazy. That dude was oh my God. He would call his own grandfather every name in the book. And he was a blood child. I mean, whoa, genius. So, all my historic work. So they all start tumbling after San Onofre goes down. Duane R goes down next. Calhoun goes down. Some of the most dangerous reactors in the world that could never go down, they start going down. Oyster Creek in Jersey, that monster beast goes down. Indian Point goes down in New York. Pilgrim goes down. Yankee goes down. Palisades goes down. They're all falling, they're all announcing, including Chris Crane's crowning jewel is Palo Verde in the Arizona Desert. That's the biggest in the country. It's the only one that doesn't sit by an ocean or a major river or a Great Lake, because they have to have water. They pump the recycled water out of the aquifer. That's his baby. So in New York, upstate New York, there's 3 giant power plants up there, nuclear. There's Guyana, there's 9 Mile Island, Point, 3 times worse than Fitzpatrick, they announced Exelon, or not Exelon, excuse me, Energy Tech, the owners announced we're done. That's it. We're shutting them. So Exelon comes in and says, well, we'll give you, 5 cents on the dollar what it's worth because you got to decommission, you got to shut it down. This is before Holtec went completely corrupt. Now, Holtec's suing New York, I see yesterday, for the wastewater dump because that governor passed a law you can't wastewater dump. Good for her, man. It's about time. So there's no answer for this waste. Where are you going to put it? I'll put it here in Utah, the toilet. These politicians bow to them. We don't make it, we just store it. So that's it. It's over. Exelon says, we'll buy them. And I'm like, right then I knew something's a brew. Why would Exelon be buying this? Now, remember, Exelon is David Axelrod and Rahm Emanuel. And Rowe, who's pushed out, said close him, and Chris Crane becomes the CEO in 2012. He's the most pro-nuclear, accomplished nuclear CEO in history. He outdoes E.O. Wattis, here in Weber State. Gee. Who built the nuclear reactor? I mean, they built freaking the first accident up there, Chalk River. So I'm like, something's up. I mean, they're done. They're all shutting down. They've all announced they're shutting down. Next thing you know, it's been announced, Exelon has negotiated a deal with the state of New York. Status King Cuomo bank fell out on chemo. I used to call it I gotta get my sign. It's around here somewhere. I carry it all over the world. I made it in Vienna at the IAEA. What a compelling story. I've done the work of 1,000 activists. What credit do I get? I live in abject poverty. So, which I was a self-made millionaire. I mean, you know what that stock portfolio would be worth today? Play back the tape, Your Honor. But I learned a long thing about selfishness in this country. No good deed goes unpunished. I've had open heart surgery twice. Teams of trolls were hired to start attacking Kevin Blanch online. Teams. Dozens of Facebook pages and YouTube. I'm like, what the hell? With my name, 100, calling me every name in the book, everything in the world. And I'm like, what the hell is this? We know now my anonymous army dug it out. Now, remember, I invented the Million Mass March. I didn't call it the Million Mass March. I called it the Post-Ignorance Project. My own people inside the Post-Ignorance Project were supposed to be my friends. Remember, I had my radio show on UCY-TV at Weber State, KWCR. Freak, I was all over. I was everywhere. I was on coast to coast. I was everywhere. You used to Google Sinanofri, this so-called accident. So they opened the valve. That's Custer's last stand. They opened the valve and they call it a steam malfunction on January 31st, 2012. And it plumed all over San Clemente. Oh, radioactive. The NRC on their website ranks it as a 3. Oh, it's only a 3. The scale only goes to 7. Chernobyl's a 7, Fukushima's a 7. Now, who sets a scale from 1 to 7? That's malice from inception, the Nuclear Energy Crime Syndicate. So, they're all following. They announced this bailout. Status King Como just out of nowhere says, we're giving the nuclear industry 7.6, not million, billion. What? So I fly right to New York. I'm in New York for months, fighting it. Right there at Times Square. Toshiba? Yeah. Remember Westinghouse merged with Toshiba and then went bankrupt? Right behind my house is Westinghouse, Karen Silkwood on Balco. Western Zirconia makes the rods. They're right behind my house, those criminals. They went bankrupt. Took down the oldest company in freaking Japan with them, Toshiba. What? Well, Toshiba's still trading? Yeah, they bailed them out, the World Bank. Just like the uranium 238, 235. I thought we were blocking everything from Russia because of this proxy war. Went after Afghanistan to kill the Taliban. I mean, the greatest lie in human history, Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. No, but that's way up there. I want you to know what I know. 2011, propped up by Exelon, Barack Obama. It was the great, well, it's the second greatest lie in human history. I want you to know what I know. The plume is coming over us right now. Scientists tell it is safe. It is not ready up. There's no need for precautions. I'm going to keep you in the know for everything I know on Fukushima and, this disaster. Do not call it a meltdown. Of course, he wouldn't say meltdown. Now they've admitted, Google says anybody was calling a nuclear energy meltdown, they viciously went after. Well, there's only one person on Earth doing that. So they did every nasty thing in the world to me. Kicked me off Medicaid while I'm in a bone marrow transplant center. You don't think that's a tempt? Oh my God. I don't know idea. So I'm exhausted all my money. They slander me all over, so my funding completely dries up. I lose my radio shows because people inside my own group starts going after it. It's total setup. Who funded those people? Post-ignorance versus free radicals. I'm like, I'm full of cancer. I'm on death's doorstep. My heart starts to fail from the nuclear industry. I was born with a heart murmur from, no doubt, a defect from my father came home and made children. You know, I had all kinds of issues from birth. I'm radioactive. You know, I come from a family of heart surgeons, so they're like, the doctors know inside there, but my platelets are so low they can't operate. And I'm kicked off Medicaid. They won't operate. My gallbladder ruptured on Earth Day 6 years ago today. Well, it'll be the 22nd. We're celebrating today. From the chemo, I had no insurance. I mean, I don't know how it didn't kill me because they were supposed to cut it out. And they refused to do the surgery because I'd exhausted all my money. And then my heart's failing. I slowly started to lose tooth by tooth by tooth. I remember a woman came into my room. She says, "You're an AML leukemia survivor?" "Yeah, so far." "Go get all your teeth pulled now. Avoid it because they're slowly going to go and it's going to be vicious and horrible." And it was vicious and one after another. I had no thing. I mean, so I just go to the clinic and they just jerk them out. I mean, that's what they do, and not nicely. I mean, it's like freaking the Wild Wild West around here because I have no insurance. I'm out of money. They viciously have slandered me to no end, so I have no funding. I'm doing all this work. I don't know how I didn't lose my house. I mean, everybody's turned on me. It's just so slanderous and it's so outrageous. So mine honestly tracks down who did this. Who's slandering Kevin Bond? Why would people just dedicate their whole YouTube site, their whole Facebook page, their whole life to slandering a guy in critical condition, which are felonies? They were paid to do it. Who paid them? NEI? Huh. Remember ENE News? You know, her and I used to work so diligently together. They did to her. You know, so they're falling and tumbling. I'm like, they'll never bail. I fought them. Oh, they did it. Then the same lawyers started going to every single house, including here in Utah. Barrel Eye Energy, I had them booted out of here. They were out of here. Bailed them out. They refired up Idaho National Lab up there. And then Obama just started freaking flooding them with money. Then Trump, I thought, well, Trump gets elected, that everything will change. He meets with a bee 17 times, blocks out the window. And Trump becomes the most pro-nuclear president since Eisenhower. Well, excuse me, since Truman. I thought for sure. I asked Trump to his face, were you going to talk about Fukushima? Will you talk about Fukushima? And he says, yes. Did he? No. Never said it once, still this day. You think he's a counterculturist and he's different? He's going to drain the swamp? They didn't drain the swamp. They drained the wetland right behind my house, this megawatt dairy. So, for years I'd say, well, you think you're above all this? The common denominator we all have, I used to, well, what I call AML leukemia. You know what I call cancer. I call it the great equalizer. In Japan, they call it the atom bomb disease. Now, these people, I was in Oak Ridge at Megan Rice's. Barack Obama throws her in a holding cell for 3 years, built the hole for 3 things, that 85-year-old peace activist, none. And turns down the temperature 50 degrees and tries to kill her. That's the Obama administration that did that. Same thing with Aaron Swartz, 35 years for downloading a server at MIT. What do you think that was all about? Now, who does that? Exelon's puppet. Well, they're all puppets. Trump's proven it. Biden, Genocide Joe has proven they're puppets of the nuclear energy crime syndicate. So, I'm like, they can't bail it. So then they start going every single house and they bail them all out. State ballots. So in Ohio, I'm heavily involved. I'm coaching people, whatever. I'm trying to block that in Ohio. So hundreds of millions of dollars by the nuclear energy crime syndicate. Department of Energy. Oh yeah, which used to be called the Department of Nuclear. The Army Corps of Engineers who classified me. I put the emails online. Whistleblower inside sent them to me. He says, here, look at this. Classified, unclassified. They're going through every video you do. And I put it online. I said, what the hell? They used to be part of the Department of Nuclear, right? They opened up the spigot in the Manhattan Project, unlimited faucet of money. They never shut it off. This is free money. Price-Anderson Congressional Act, they're trying to up it for 40 years right now. It comes due at the end of the year. They'll get it through. On my guess, they're going to put it through this war bill that just got passed. My guess, the Price-Anderson, but there's only one common denominator that, so both Exelon CEOs have died from short illnesses. Well, there's no such thing as just a short illness. Well, there are lots of short illnesses. But there's an illness. There's what it really was. You don't just get sick and die. There's something when you're in the prime of your life. 65 years old is the prime of your life. What was it? Well, if it was the C word, you know they can't say it. They know they can't say it. Can you imagine? The anti-nuclear freaking community, there is no anti-nuclear community. There's basically Kevin Blanche, and then you got Dunford doing his work up there in Canada. That's basically it. They've squashed that. They've freaking slandered us, attacked us, gone to such lengths to get rid of everyone with our own money. It's a big deal. That's taken me 4 or 5 days to wrap my mind around when I saw he passed. And I don't wish this on my worst enemy, but I know what this disease is. And anybody that tells you that nuclear is not correlated with cancer is a liar. We have the data. The government data is out there. Look it up. The government data is all out there on the atomic marines. Nuclear death in the Nevada test site. My father won it. You go in denial all you want. The data is there, but that doesn't matter to anyone. So they both died of sudden illness. He dies in the prime of his life. This guy's the most pro-nuclear, well, the most influential, powerful CEO in American history as far as nuclear goes. No doubt. He dies on April 13th out of nowhere at 65 years old. To see about, he was placed in there in 2012. He's the guy that orchestrated all these bailouts. And they're incredible bailouts. And because it was over. I don't think people realize it was over. And I knew that. I'm like, if they get this through in New York, they're going to do it to every city. So in Ohio, they're bailing out and they're doing every dirty trick in the world to us, including Kevin Blanche. And I know who you are, and I saw what all of you did. I've almost died so many times. I had open heart surgery again this year. Kicked off Medicaid. They replaced my valve valve in 2017. They were slandering me and attacking me viciously while I'm in a ICU. I'm doing videos with my chest split open. That doesn't stop them. I'm in critical condition this whole time. Go talk to any of my doctors. My doctor up there, KD, calls me. He throws to the young interns. He throws my resume out and he says, "Look at this resume." You know. For I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. So, she passed away from it. She was incredible. I met her in the Nevada test site protesting with Megan Rice's mother. It's been a hell of a journey. It's been a hell of a fight. It's been a hell of a fight. Strip my credentials. There they are right there. That's the last letter of recommendation from Clyde Cooley himself. My class of 96, that, the Wada School of Business, the #1 school of business in the United States. Look at all those. Those are all, there's the highest test score in the history of a Clyde Cooley ever given. The toughest thing. So they went after me, stripped my degrees, took my credentials, whatever, because they're the Wada School of Business. Warren Buffett comes in and takes them over, and look it up. #1 school, but beaten Wharton, beaten Harvard. Didn't Trump go to Wharton? Didn't Elon Musk go to Wharton in that era right there in the 90s? 96, the #1 exit test from any school of business in the United States in history to this day. A public school beating the private schools. They went after my plastering business. There's the tree in the museum I plastered. All this work and all these credentials I did. And this is the power they willed. For Kevin reached into the bag. So, in Ohio, the FBI finally, somebody goes after him. Hundreds of millions. The lead legislator in Ohio, the House Majority Leader, Larry Householder, is doing 23 years in a federal prison right now in Arizona, not far from Palo Verde. Palo Verde is going down. That's Chris's crowning jewel. They get bailed out. The state of Arizona bails them. The state of Arizona bailed them out. State by state, how New York was the first one. He's the one that orchestrated all that. He put that together. He's a powerhouse. They would have been completely done. The nuclear industry was completely over in this country. You know, by 2016, it was over. By 2016, and this is when, and that's when they started to kettle my YouTube site. 2017, you know, really 28 started going after me. My work on the salmon collapse, my work on the ocean, the greatest marine biologist in the history, Kevin Blanche. All this historic work, you know, it blows my mind. And they kettled me. Used to Google on the sidebar, I Google any of the subject matter. The salmon collapse, the bailouts on the nuclear industry, the meltdowns of Fukushima, Japan, just the greatest event in human history to cover. 19 of 20 on the sidebar would be Kevin Blanche. I knew it was about retention. I was competing against BBC, against CNN. Whereas remember, Anderson Vanderbilt Cooper was at Fukushima, Japan. So was Sanjay Gupta. He used the term Fukushima meltdowns many, probably hundreds of times. He comes home, never mentions it again. You think that's just a coincidence? I mean, Sanjay Gupta is a practicing neurosurgeon. I mean, my God, what they did. So Exelon's the big player. Exelon's the biggest owner of these nuclear reactors in the country, bar none. They are the big player. They propped up Obama. Obama never said it again after he told that great lie on the White House lawn. I'll keep you abreast. The exact day that he's telling that lie, Cheryl Mills, his aide, is sending out emails that say they've been leaked out. They're out there to different staff, including Hillary, all of them. Remember, Hillary Clinton went to Fukushima. Got to go talk to Henry before I go to Fukushima. Well, who's Henry? I wonder. So don't go outside. The plume is coming over us right now. It is radioactive. If you have been outside, take a shower, wash your clothes, get some iodine tablets. That's right out of the Obama administration, right from his aide, Cheryl Mills. Look it up. It's out there. He's standing on the White House lawn telling you, scientists tell us that it is safe. No need to take precautions. Then he's flown to South America with all these said players to orchestrate. I mean, they flew to Argentina. That day, including Jeffrey Melt, you know, the CEO of GE. Now, was Chris on that plane? One of those planes? I don't know. But Chris is the one, you know, they both died of sudden illnesses. Chris died April 13th this year in 2013. Now, if it was the C word, of course they can't say it. The nuclear industry, anti-nuclear industry, will go crazy about it. Well, I'm the only anti-nuclear. And I would not wish this disease on my worst enemy. I'm like Jesus. I was telling the kids the other day, the grandkids, I was like, God put me on earth for one reason. What's that? They already know. And we know to do all the dirty work. I'm the foot washer, the nuclear foot washer. Now, I didn't intend it to be that way. I really didn't. You know, it's brutal. It's been hardcore taking these guys, watching them slander me, impoverish me. You Google on the internet. Even my grandkids are old enough now. They Google and they see the slanderous shit about me. I'm like, but they're smart enough to weed through and see who it is. You know what they've done is criminal. But I've always said, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, and oh, have I. So, happy Earth Day. Celebrating it right up the hill. Pfft, what a cliche that's turned into. And the other 364 days are Poison the Earth Day. So, both the Exelon CEOs have died suddenly from short illnesses. He's in the prime of his life. This dude is probably the most powerful CEO since E.O. Wattis, you know, General Electric. I mean, Jack Welch, what a Ponzi scheme that was. Orchestrated by who? CNBC, Kramer, Rita Bartiromo, Joe Kernan, all those freaks. I mean, talk about criminals pushing that Ponzi scheme. And that's what it was. Oh, the stocks went up. Yeah, it did reverse split 8-1. You know, go buy your GameStop. Go buy your New Scale. Buy your DJT. You know, I mean, people don't care. They don't even think about their health. Your health is your wealth. You're really people get their 30, 40 years of their life sawed off. For what? But, you know, you could go to the United States populace right now. You could go to them. And you could say, here, we'll give you, you know, $5 million today, but you're going to die in your 60s and not your 90s. That's the deal. 90% of them who take the check. Probably more than that. Not me. I mean, your health is your wealth. Life is a gift, cherished gift. And I would not wish this disease on my worst enemy. I think it's very sad that he's passed away like this. I don't play that way. I don't believe in that kind of thing. You know, I love my enemies. I really am getting there. I really, I'm strong. You can see my camera right up in their face, whatever, branding them in history, but I surely do not wish ill on them. I don't play that way. I don't believe in that. And I surely don't believe in violence, even though I started the Million Mass March and it was pretty intense and radical and strong, but I do not believe in violence. I do not. And I've preached that thing. And the reason I don't believe in it doesn't work. The nuclear seal, they believe in violence. I mean, so not the California Public Commission, PV, he's probably living on his yacht. They were going after him, they dropped it all. But San Onofre got shut down. In Ohio, they're all in prison. Sam, who's the public servant, the commission making gods of money, whatever, the AG in Ohio charged him recently. He committed suicide. Now, they listed the cause of his death. The nuclear industry getting involved with that crime syndicate, it never ends well. And they always go after the bribe. He's not the bribers. Well, the AG in Ohio, he's gone after me. The first time in U.S. history as executives from the nuclear energy crime syndicate have been charged. Yes, in Ohio. First Energy, go Browns. No wonder they lost every game when it's named after that. And by the way, Ohio went back to my city, and my God. If they're all that corruption and everything that happened, they still bailed them out. I want your other sister. He charged the CEO and the CEO recently, first time in history. Now, is there a connection between First Energy and Exelon Energy? Of course. They're all connected. And the linchpin, and by the way, the cover-up of Fukushima was not orchestrated by Chris or Roy. They were probably on the team, which I remember being with Ackerman. By the way, he's dying of cancer right now. He's got stage 4 prostate, and no one's heard from him. I remember being in the Metropolitan where Helen Caldecott supposed me. Don't say the F word, Kevin, she told me. Fukushima. What are you talking about? I sat with Noam Chomsky. I'm there the whole time at the New York Medical Academy. One of the doctors showed up and was asking me about my survival. A doctor, because he knows my doctors. The story, you cannot make it up. We're at the Metropolitan Museum, and there's two guys, and they saw my Fukushima shirt, and they come right up to me. One of them physically, I'm looking at Lander's, that incredible painting that the Hudson River people did of Lander Peak in Wyoming. I'm looking at it, and their guy walks up, and this is no shit. He walks up, and he touches the natives on the painting. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? I'm like, whatever. And I called security. I said, hey, come here, this dude. And he saw my shirt. And he says, oh, you wanted those? One of those what? He recognized. Oh, my God, you're Kevin Blanche. You're the activist. I'm not the activist professor. I'm the truth. And he starts arguing. We start arguing. Ackerman's there. Ackerman comes up and tries to keep them separate. They're professors from the University of Michigan. And the other professor comes over, and he's like talking to me cordially after this one was psychoing on me. I said, what are you guys doing here? Oh, we're here for the Metropolitan Ballet. Oh, we're on Obama's commission on Fukushima. Oh, you mean the cover-up team? Yeah, you call that. And he's friendly. Ackerman's trying to sell him a painting. You cannot make it up. What painting hangs right next to that painting, right around the corner? Yeah, that famous painting when they're arresting John Brown. I'm like, talk about activism. I don't believe in violence. I do not believe in violence. And the reason I don't believe in violence, it does not work. For every action, there's a reaction. The reaction is always bigger than the action. Thus, 3 meltdowns at Fukushima. And you can go along with all you want, but 2 plus 2 is still 2. Excuse me. 2 plus 2 is still 4. Sorry, Winston. You know, they can tell you that one reactor at Chernobyl that's 700,000 men entombed with no spent fuel pools in a new reactor is bigger than 3 full core meltdowns, pushing in. They've never found the cores to this day. And they could tell you they're just flushing the water, the red herring. Then how did the fish, 2 months before they started flushing, get 180 times of season 137 in? Go ask Ken Buesler, he'll tell you. He recently did an interview and said there's thousands of times. Or excuse me, he said it was millions of times when we got over. He never said that before. Well, the half-life on these are of these nuclide radioisotopes come off this meltdown. The half-life. Do you know what half-life is? Well, look it up. Is millions of years. So if they did die of the C word, now I'm not saying they did. I don't know. But when I see a perfect man, perfectly healthy, who dies, and I see it's pneumonia, and I know what people with AML leukemia end up dying from. Lungs are the biggest tissue in the body. You know, leukemia is blood cancer. It's everywhere and everything, and eventually it takes you. And it doesn't just, boom. I mean, the death process is horrible. I would not wish this on my worst enemy. And I don't know that's what they both died from, but they both died of short illnesses. That's my whole point on this. The great equalizer. We know what it is, death. And if you don't think that nuclear energy, which came first, the chicken or the egg, uranium, what's in a nuclear reactor is uranium-235, not uranium-238, natural to the earth. That centrifuge process is so nasty. And the only place it was right is in Ohio, but they just refired that up. It's centrifuge mostly in Russia, and I thought we were blocking everything in the proxy war. So, Kevin Blanche, the world's foremost expert on Fukushima. I don't eat, sleep, drink it. I sleep with it. I was given 2 months to live. Just the fact that I go into the bone marrow transplant on 11/11/11. Ooh, I know who you are. And I saw what you did. So stay tuned.